Hi everyone. After checking out Chorale yesterday, let's take a look at Diverti today, our so-called magic tank and Earth Evocation DPS, the second unit on the banner. And yeah, is he good? Let's find out. So the overview: in his base form, Diverti is a quote-unquote magic tank with SPR scaled LB chaining. And in his Brave Shift, he's an Evocation Earth Evocation LB Jaina. So unlike Terra and Luna Freya, he's not a single hit finisher, but instead he's LB chaining with 27 hits, which is going to complicate things a little bit more than it should be, but here we are. So let's check out the abilities. Base form, as you can see, is more suited towards tanking. He's got that 75% general mitigation and a 50% magic mitigation in one ability, damage card cut. The worst thing about his tanking kit is the cover mitigation at 55 to 65%, which is on average only 60% cover mitigation, and that is a 7-star unit value. Just to put it out right here, Heey's got, I believe, 65 to 80 or 85 even. Yeah, 55 to 65 is not gonna cut it at all. His draw and reload is the most trollish ability there has been ever for a Neo Vision unit. It's 1 use per battle. It's a 90% general mitigation for all allies except himself. Like, how is that even useful then? Unless you're facing unmitigationable damage, but this is absolutely useless. It's also the only one ability he has to provoke for 1 turn. Yeah, it's that bad, right? So, yeah, I mean, Clay Shield is the only saving grace, to be honest. It's a 75% magical damage reduction skill for 4 turns. Also has a cooldown of 4 turns, which is a little bit better. But funnily enough, the SPR increase, though it is for all of the party, is only 250, while his fired up is 300%. Kind of a waste of a cooldown in my opinion, but at least I guess from a tanking point of view, it's still 75% damage mitigation from magic sources, which is very much needed in his bad kit. So yeah, he doesn't really do much for the party as well. He does boost wind and earth resistance by 60%, but compared to Heey, who does so much more, or Melia also does so much more for the party, Diverti as a magic tank, he's just not working out. His passives, yeah, he's got the chain modifier cap increased to 1x, but it's still not to 5x, sorry, but still you're gonna use, or you have to use not Luna Freya's, Lightning's STMR to make him a 6x capper or chainer, so that's that. And anything else? Oh yeah, you can easily reach the true dual wield SPR cap with him. He has 150% innately once you're wearing his Trustmaster or Super Trustmaster, and his Trustmaster, we'll get to that in a minute, also increases true dual wield SPR by 50%. So getting the 200% is pretty easy if you have the unit. But still, he's still bad, all things considered. His limit burst is a 100x imbuable magic star, meaning physical killers. SPR scaling chaining abilities, 27 hits. It protects his bayonet frames. And yeah, it also decreases damage taken by 50% for all allies, but who cares about that? His Brave Shifted abilities are more suited towards evocation, as you can see. He's got that 60x Earth Magic damage. With Chaos Wave Awakened frames, it also decreases Earth resistance by 130, but in an ideal case, you're gonna use Cacteria anyway for the 135 Earth Imperil. For some reason, he's still got that cover ability, but no real cover mechanics or damage mitigation skills in his Brave Shift, so I would not suggest to use his cover. He's also got a Dark Evocation skill. Unironically, I think this is one of the better skills in his entire kit, although he's not technically speaking a dark damage dealer. He has literally no dark impulse or anything like that, so you're not gonna need another dark imperiler for him, but still it's one of the better skills he has in his kit. Other than that, the usual evocation staff, fired up evocation 250 LB increase for 2 turns, fills LB gauge to max. He's got a little bit of Evo mag and Evo damage, 200% to both, which is pretty high. He's got 150% Evo stats, which is also pretty sweet. That is the best thing the future entrusted to Renora stuff. But all things considered, he really needs this stuff because his gearing doesn't allow for that many evocation items, such as Terra or Luna Freya, for example. His Brave Shifted Limit Burst is an Earth Evocation damage skill at 80x, which is pretty much the same as with Luna Freya and Terra. So just looking at this Doom Train evocation, one might think that he's probably as good as Terra or Luna Freya, but the reality it's not. One of the reasons is the Protector's Bayonet frames, which are ugh. And the other thing is he cannot reach the high magic points that Terra and Luna Freya have. Plus, he also doesn't reach the Evo magic and Evo damage values of Luna Freya and Terra, thus already falling behind rather quickly. The field effect, it hasn't been translated on the wiki just yet, but yeah, it is an Earth field effect with 25% amplification for magical and physical. Okay, let's check out his Trust Master and Super Trust Master. The Trust Master I already mentioned, it's the 50% true dual wield spirit effect plus 25% LB damage increase. It's decent for units such as Melia or himself. Other than that, it's okay. It's good. His Super Trust Master is the throwing weapon at 165 magic and spirit alike, and it also increases LB damage by 50%. Stat-wise, this is pretty good at 50% LB on top of things, but there are two better options, such as Ibarra's STMR is still better in terms of raw stats. It has 180 magic, and Dashing Gambler Setter STMR or TMR, I'm not quite sure right now, has also more raw stats, 3 more stats, 67 SPR on his throwing weapon. Please also consider this is a throwing weapon, thus it's only really useful on himself. Neither Ibarra nor, well, I should say not even Ibarra is using her own throwing weapon. You're better off using rods on Ibarra, for example. That should speak volumes. Well, technically it's at fault because Realm has 35 rod in peril, and the only one with throwing in peril is Locke, and he funnily enough also increases the earth resistance of an enemy by 100%, but since Locke has a perfect dispel, you can perfect dispel the earth resistance, but it's kind of iffy with the throwing in peril, especially if you're an Earth Evocation damage dealer. Vision card, it's the same one as Chorale. They did not bother, or Gumi did not bother giving him his own vision card, so yeah, absolutely useless. Moving on. The damage calculation, it's pretty much the like for like with the physical damage stuff. 90% SPR break, 300% limit burst buff, 300% magic SPR buff, 33 total M for Luna Freya, Terra and Diverti in his Brave Shift. Of course, we're also going to look at the base LB of Diverti, and here we are looking at a 104 total amplification. We are going to use Wind Element on a Wind Tomb with Bards and Ferris for this. and a 50% total amplification for Cacteria. Same as with the physical DPSs, we are looking at a 22.5k SPR, Dark Vision Spores, 60% Spirit, not defense, sorry for that one, and 60% Elemental Resistance, varying amounts of killers depending on gearing, and a 150% killer buff to adjust for evocation. The imperils we're using is a 135 Water and Earth Imperil provided by Cacteria, and a 130 Wind Imperil provided by Ferris. And I forgot to mention there's also a 130% Fire Imperil for Terra. We got a Sword and Throwing Imperil at 25% and a 35% Rod Imperil. Okay, so here are the builds. Diverti, as you can see, he is 3 times on this. In his regular, or the one that is going to end up being the best one, it's the top right, so this one, top left, sorry. He's wearing his own STMR, he's using a copy of Ibarra's STMR. He has to use Indestructible Light, that is SOS Lightning's STMR. He's using a family reunited, and the reason is, kind of has to. But yeah, you could technically go for something else. This is what the builder suggested, by the way. But I think it is the best build you can do for it. Yeah, the bottom left uses Luna Freya's STMR instead of Ibarra's STMR. That way we can use the 35% Rod Imperil, or half of it actually, so 17.5%. You got to use upgrade package for this, otherwise you cannot equip a rod. And yeah, pretty much like for like with the rest of it. Cacteria, you saw the build last week, Diverti's base form. Then as you can see, he's reaching pretty respectable amount of SPR after buffs up, obviously. And yeah, let's check out the rest of the contestants. Those are Luna, Freya and Terra, obviously. It's the standard builds, nothing too surprising here. So let's check out the damage. And as you can see, Diverti, no matter how you look at it, he's just super far behind on Terra and Luna Freya. So even if you're using Luna Freya's STMR and his own STMR, Diverti deals a little bit less damage than when he's using 2 throwing weapons, mainly his own plus Ibarra's throwing weapon, which is kind of surprising. So yeah, there's that, I guess. And Cacteria is still pretty close. And I also included Diverti's base limit burst on a wind team. As you can see, it's even weaker than Cacteria, so the base LB, don't bother, to be honest. That's what there is to say. In total, he's just barely strong. It's just a 100 million increase over Cacteria, and Cacteria does a lot more things for the team than Diverti does, to be honest. So yeah, I guess you're getting the gist of it, right? Diverti is not good. So how does he fare in the meta? Diverti is practically a 7-star unit, and from my point of view, he should have been released at the very start of the Near Vision era. That way he would have had a lot of time to shine and be one of the best DPSs we have, but releasing it at this point in time, he's just pretty much useless. Super low damage for an evoker, his magic tanking capabilities are highly questionable with very low cover mitigation. He's got bad weapon choices, well, only one choice, throwing weapons, unless you give him the upgrade package. But still, all things considered, it's very bad. He may be useful for an Earth-focused Dark Vision stage, magic stage, so to speak. But I still believe he's going to get outclassed by Luna Freya and or Terra. Luna Freya, I'm absolutely sure, maybe he's going to eclipse Terra if the Earth stage heavily leans towards Earth damage. Other than that, I don't see any value in adding him to your team. So should you pull? No. really honestly skip. He's not a total dot if you off-banner him, but still very, very far behind Luna, Freya, and even Terra. And Terra is quite dated at this time, but still super strong. All things considered, Terra is still super strong, but just taking a look at her, I believe she got released in October or something like that, and October has been a while, so all things considered, Terra is still holding up very, very well. And less to say, Diverti, shiniest new unit, super bad in comparison. And that concludes today's unit review for Diverti. Thank you all for watching. We'll see each other tomorrow for a cool video I prepared, and the Sunday video I like the most. The Sunday video is, I feel like it's the better one of the two, but you'll see. Until then, have a nice Friday evening. See you tomorrow. Bye bye.